Since the 90s, we've pretty much had a new Pokemon game every single year, 2D to 3D, Game Boy to home console. These games have continued to evolve, but the last 2 years specifically have been easy to predict. We got a brand new generation with Scarlet and Violet, and then the subsequent DLCs. But this year is a bit different. The game that comes out this year is likely to be the last Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch, ushering us into the next Nintendo console and Pokemon generation. My name is Dusty Gogo. Welcome back to my headcanon. Today I'm with Birdkeeper Toby. Let's see if we can figure out and predict what the 2024 Pokemon game is going to be. Okay, Toby, let's start with this. I'm going to tell you what my general timeline overview is for the next, pretty much leading into Generation 10. But depending on whatever we learn in February, the whole thing is just going to shatter. I was really confident we were going to get Johto, and then the leaker said, okay, we're getting Unova content. And I was so certain until I played the Blueberry Academy, the Indigo Disc, and I realized that the Indigo Disc is a love letter to Unova.
It is the Unova content.
Yeah, suggesting to me that there is no more Unova content, in which case I have no idea what is going to happen, okay? So let me tell you my top level timeline prediction.
Okay.
And then I'm going to tell you all of the possible games that we could see in 2024. I think at the beginning of 2024, after Pokemon Day, the Switch 2 is going to release. However, the game that we get in 2024, the Pokemon game at Holiday 2024, it definitely will not be for the Switch 2, whatever the Switch successor is going to be. It's going to be just a Switch game.
I'm on the same page as you currently. I think that makes sense.
The initial prediction that I had was that we're going to get some sort of Unova remake, right? That can get real shaky. It could be a faithful remake, but I'm going to say with some shaky confidence that we're going to get some sort of Unova remake. It's going to be a BDSP to Legends thing again. And then in spring of 2025, we're going to get some sort of Paradox Unova game. What that would be, essentially, it's not a Legends game, but it kind of fits that same role. It's essentially an alternate reality to Black 2, White 2, right? We're going to get Black and White remakes, and then we're going to get another Unova game that is not a third sequel, right? It's not a remake of Gen 2. It's not a Black and White 3, but it's actually just a different reality of a game. And I'll tell you this, Toby, I think that's what we already get. I think Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee could be seen as a Paradox Kanto game, right? It's an alternate reality. I think Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire could be a Paradox Hoenn game. It's an alternate reality, right? So Paradox Unova was a specific term that the Riddler, who is starting, honestly, in my mind, starting to get on shaky ground with some of his claims.
Well, they literally are, yeah.
I really want a Unova game, and I would love to play a Paradox Unova game. And then everything kind of breaks from here, because the truth is we could get a Johto game, right? We might have already received all of our Unova content, and then what we're actually going to get in 2024 is a Johto game. I've been also talking to my friend Kuro Blitz, who's starting to convince me that we could even see a Kalos remake.
No.
Right? What if Game Freak says screw Johto, screw Unova? What if we get a sequel game to Paldea, right? What I'm trying to say is we don't really know what's going to happen. I have literally no confidence of what's going to happen in 2024.
Did you see the Riddler tweet, the one about the four region maps?
Sure, yeah.
It's Riddler, Coup territory, and it's leaker potential stuff, and it's, you got to take it all with a grain of salt. But the four maps he posted were Unova, Paldea, Kanto, and Johto, and I think with the words 2024. Here's my thing. The way Paldea is explained is already, there's stuff. So that's happened now. That's Paldea done. However, if there is a Switch 2, and I'm not saying they are going to do this, there is every chance that they try and sell us Scarlet and Violet, the complete thing, again, on like upper hardware to make up for the quality issues. I wouldn't put it past them trying and just experimenting and seeing how that would do. I could almost on a new console. I could see that. However, I wouldn't bet on that.
Okay.
So the way we explain the other three maps, Unova, it could just be that it was the Indigo Disc, and that's what that was. And so I think it's far too soon that we see a game actually set in Unova. Personally, we just had games set in Sinnoh a couple of years ago. It is way, way, way too soon to see a game set in Unova. But the DLC kind of serves that purpose. Now, Kanto and Johto. Well, hang on, what, are we getting 2 other games? Well, no. We know that Johto famously has Kanto as part of its games so far. So I think that lends itself to a BDS, Heart Gold Soul Silver Ilka style remake, or a Legends game that kind of is, much as Sinnoh is set in Hisui for the Legends game, it's set in a time like where the the Tojo region, where it's like half Kanto, half Johto, and they're kind of as one, because at that point you're not creating like an open world game that's bigger than Scarlet and Violet. You're just creating a game like Legends Arceus that has like, maybe instead of 5 open areas it has 8 or 10, and that's, obviously that's more work, but that's still smaller than Scarlet and Violet, I would have thought. And you can reuse a lot of the assets from Legends Arceus for the same game, because they are set literally in the same kind of Pokemon country with a similar aesthetic. And what that allows you to do as a Pokemon company is to keep working on Generation 10 on the new hardware, and put most of your time and energy into that by recycling some content. So I think next year, my guess is that Pokemon Day announces some kind of Johto game, either a Ilka style game or a Legends game, or both. Probably one or the other, I would have thought. And if we are to see Unova, that I think is most likely to come in the form of an Ilka game. I would have thought of either Black and White or Black and White 2. I also think it's possible that if I'm being too wild, if you don't like what I'm saying here about a Legends Johto game, that we could see the Virtual Console Kanto and Johto games make their appearance finally on Switch Online. That's another way they could do it. In which case, if that does happen, then yes, I think maybe then we could get a Legends Unova game, but I still think it's too soon. And I think all of this kind of covers the November to sort of February period of 2024 into 2025. And then the announcement, probably in February of 2025, of 2026's, even if it's like Pokemon Day 2026, 30th anniversary Generation 10. Now, that would push it back from its normal holiday release. However, it is the 30th anniversary. They might do things a little bit differently. But at that point, I'm getting very far out there, very speculative. February, again, all of this could be smashed.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to have a much more concrete prediction after we find out whatever the next game is.
Yeah.
I think the Blueberry Academy really threw us for a loop, being so similar to Unova. I will say, Toby, I've kind of flip-flopped, but I'm pretty confident that I think we're still going to get Generation 10 at that 3-year mark. I think we're going to get Generation 10.
You think we're going to get it in 2025 as opposed to 30th anniversary?
I agree. I think when we spoke earlier in the year, I thought it was kind of a novel idea. Like, okay, that fits perfectly. Celebrate the 30th anniversary with with a new generation. But I think if they keep going and make Generation 10, they put it out 3 years, 3 years after Generation 9, just like they always do. I think that opens up the possibilities for the 30th anniversary in 2026 to be a celebration of Pokemon as a whole, right? Not the new thing, but instead they can release...
It depends what they value more, whether they value a November release for the sake of holiday sales, which I won't, deny is probably huge and a huge factor, or whether they value hitting the 30th anniversary date to create a certain amount of buzz. Now, actually, releasing in 2025, the 30th anniversary, might make sense if you do it in November, because then you get a second day in 2026 where you get to do the 30th anniversary and you can sell something else. So actually, from that point of view, I don't disagree. Maybe it is 2025 we get that.
And if we do get that new Switch successor, if we get that in maybe like 6 months from now,
be the launch for that, it would work for that.
Exactly. They kind of get this 1-2 punch, and then I think 2026 could the 30th anniversary could be a great time for them to actually give us those Gens 1 to 3 ports on the NSO or whatever they want to call that. And then this is the fun part, right, where they go, okay, 2026 is basically going to be a celebration of Kanto, and then we get a new Kanto game, which actually we're kind of due at that point, like 2 years from now, we're actually due for another Kanto game, which could include Johto game, right?
I could see them doing something like that, and my reasoning for that is that Pokemon recognize that selling red and blue and variations of it is just a good way to make money. So you think a Unova game is the most likely candidate? You think it's more likely than Johto?
I'll tell you this, I really don't know. I don't know.
I strongly think that Johto is more likely than Unova.
I was in that camp until the Riddler started talking about Unova, and now I honestly, logically, I should revert back to that if I think the Blueberry Academy was like so much of the Unova content. Right?
Well, this is it. I think that's it for now. And then I think that, because they love doing this, where they love hinting at stuff.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then Kitakami, to me, says Johto. Go back to Johto. Do Johto. There is one other possibility.
Okay.
And I hate this possibility, but it is the case. The Restaurant thing is the epilogue to the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero DLC. Yes. Not to Scarlet and Violet. Suggesting the idea that there might be more DLC for Scarlet and Violet.
Which is what I said in the beginning, right? That is where we could maybe then see Johto content, right? Right, we went to Kitakami, which is a brand new region, right? Which maybe will be Gen 10. We went to Unova in DLC. What if we get more DLC that takes place in Johto and then takes place in Kanto? And that would actually tie perfectly with this little hint by this Riddler, right? Yeah. That would tie in perfectly. We have Paldea, Unova, Johto, and Kanto.
Don't. It upsets me because the idea of
that
like
would be so
having
much fun.
No, but it's in the Scarlet and Violet engine. So, I mean, that's the problem for me.
Yeah, but I've come to terms with it.
I haven't. Like, to me, it's like, I'm not PokeTubing right now. It's kind of a big reason why, is that I just don't... I've fallen out of love with the games. And the idea of having Kanto and Johto put into the world of Scarlet and Violet and put into that engine... when there's the possibility that it could have been in the Legends style, like Legends Arceus, would actually just damage my hope, my dreams for this franchise so much. Because I just think the world of Legends is beautiful and wonderful and artistically great. So to me, the idea that they would do that rather than do the Legends thing would hurt a lot.
I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, and if you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Love you guys. Arceus bless.